On first down, they hand off to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with a second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick 6 for the Maniac.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's up, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Wanted to discuss something really quick. Should the Indianapolis Colts trade for wide receiver John Ross? Ross was a former first-round pick, 9th overall by the Cincinnati Bengals in the 2017 NFL Draft. Ross recently requested a trade from the Bengals, and so I thought it'd be fair to kind of discuss it and get my thoughts on it and hear your guys' thoughts on it. Now, obviously, this is kind of how I want to approach it. Obviously, Ross is a talented player. He's a very talented player. In fact, he ran one of the fastest 40 times of all time, and he also was the fastest 40 time in that 2017 NFL Draft. So he's got that on his side. He's got elite speed, which is something, Chris Ballard is always looking for players who have elite traits of some sort. He has that type of speed. Number 2, with the loss of Paris Campbell, maybe for the year, but for sure most of the year, Ross offers a similar type of player that the Colts have really been lacking in their offense. Now, say what you want to Michael Harris, I thought played pretty well, all things considered, for an undrafted free agent last week against the Bengals, but it's pretty apparent that there's a rift between Ross and the Bengals at this point. I mean, Ross played 1 snap in the Colts game, Colts versus Bengals last week. So if that tells you anything, Ross has shown, say what you want, he's been a draft bust, obviously, for where he was drafted with Cincinnati, but he's shown some flashes of brilliance at times, and he could really help you out in a lot of different departments. Just another playmaker for Phillip Rivers to get the ball out of Rivers' hands into the hands of some playmakers. Honestly, if it's, a 5th to 6th round pick, and I don't know how much the Bengals are valuing him at this point, but, it's never good when a player is requesting a trade and asking about a trade. It kind of, in my opinion, devalues what you can get for a player like that. So if the Colts are able to nab him for maybe a 4th, 5th rounder, maybe even a 6th rounder if they can swing it, I'd be all for getting John Ross. Obviously, you love your draft capital. Chris Ballard loves his draft capital. He's never been shy about saying, I love them picks. But to acquire a player of Ross's, potential, right? He's still in his 20s, in his mid-20s at this point. I think it's potentially worth it, especially if you're not really giving up that whole lot, and you potentially have a guy that maybe he just needs to change the scenery. I mean, we've seen that with different players from time to time who are, former high-end picks who just need to change the scenery, a different scheme, different coaching staff to really utilize their talents. The Colts have one of the better coaching staffs in terms of developing their talent. Obviously, they've struggled with injuries with their wide receivers, and that is something that is significant and worth noting because Ross has been, often injured throughout his NFL career. But I think overall, it makes a lot of sense for me for the Colts to potentially pursue something with John Ross, especially if you're not giving up a bunch of draft capital because he's not going to command a bunch. If you want to re-sign him, obviously he was in the same draft as Malik Hooker in that 2017 draft. So after this season, he would need to be re-signed as some sort of deal. I wouldn't think he'd break the bank by any means, but you just get another playmaker in there. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially right now. You're sitting pretty at 4-2, and you have a chance to potentially do something. And, obviously you hope to get Michael Pittman back, but if you can get another receiver that's kind of another home run hitter to kind of fill the void left by Paris Campbell, your offense has suffered since Paris Campbell went down in week 1, your passing offense especially. If you can get another player like Ross for a cheap deal, a former first-round talent, a number, top 10 talent from a couple of years ago, I think it's worth it. I really think it's worth it. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on it, though. Do you think the Colts should pursue something with John Ross? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. But that'll do it for this podcast. That's my thoughts on if the Colts should pursue John Ross. I think if the price is right, absolutely they should. So thanks, guys, so much. And as always, go Colts.